Uncensored, no holds barred talk. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is Global Reality Radio Network.
Welcome to another live edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thank you for being with us here tonight for another late night Moonbat edition of the broadcast. 5-5-11 going into 5-6-11 here for you. Thursday into Friday night or Thursday night into Friday morning, rather. Let me get that straight as not to confuse anybody. But, yeah, we're here live with you tonight. Glad you could join us. And we're going to be getting into various topics of discussion tonight. We've actually got some pertinent news to cover. Imagine that. Can't believe it. We actually have some things we're talking about tonight. So we're going to be jumping into all of that. We'd love to hear from you as well. Emails, globalrealityshow@gmail.com. That's globalrealityshow@gmail.com. You have a comment, a thought, a question, anything you'd like to hear me address on the show, a topic of discussion, you just want to say, hey, can you talk about this topic, and I'll see what I can do for you. So globalrealityshow@gmail.com. If you have anything that you'd like to hear me talk about, please send those over there tonight during the show, and I will answer them. Or if you're listening on a broadcast later and you think of a question and you want me to talk about it on a show later, just shoot it over to that same email address, globalrealityshow@gmail.com, and I will answer that and talk about it on a later show. I try to do that as best as I can for all our listeners out there. But yeah, I actually got some news tonight. So we're going to also be reading from William Bramley's The Gods of Eden tonight. We finished up with some pretty killer information last night. And so tonight, chapter 30, Master Smith and the Angel. We're going to be getting into the Jesus Christ, the Latter-day Saints, Mormon stuff tonight. And of course, as you know, or you may know, that Joseph Smith and Brigham Young subsequently are also members of these, these custodial bloodlines. In fact, when you trace back, and maybe Brandon will get into some of this in this chapter here tonight, but when you trace it back, all of the creators of all the religions were all members of these same bloodlines. Charles Taze Russell, who created the Watchtower Society, the Jehovah's Witness, he was also of this bloodline. In fact, Charles Taze Russell is actually buried inside of a giant pyramid. Crazy thing. But yeah, Brigham Young, Joseph Smith, I'm sure we're going to get into some of the custodial stuff and, this idea of Joseph Smith having a, extraterrestrial experience. And this is what he founded Mormonism on. Also, the connections to Freemasonry as well, because that was the whole thing that Mormonism spawned from. It spawned from them practicing Freemasonry in secret. And Freemasonry was outlawed in the United States at that time. They had to go underground, so they set up Mormonism as this way to be able to still practice Freemasonry and do it, without being out in the eyes of the public and everybody thinking they're getting away with it. They did it under the guise of this. Joseph Smith went out and channeled and got these metal plates and all this shit. We'll get into that later, but yeah, it's obviously it's more of the power structure. So it's going to be interesting to hear how Bramley breaks that down and gives it to us here tonight during the show. So thanks to everybody for being here tonight. And we're so glad you're staying up late with us. Make some extra coffee. And we're going to get right into it here this evening for you. Let me see what all I have here. Let's go through this stack. We don't have it's insane the stuff that's coming out. This operation I talked about last night. This operation concerning Osama bin Laden has been a multifaceted operation. That's how that's the clearest evidence that we have of this being a massive operation. It should be obvious to those of you and those of us who have been researching this stuff for a long time, but to your average person, the things that you can point out is just how many of these, just how many things that this operation has served. You look at the event of 9/11, and 9/11 served a multitude. All of the big ops always serve a multitude of purpose, not just one. At the highest levels, these guys do a cost-benefit analysis, just like any major company does. Any company does. They do a cost-benefit analysis. How much is it going to cost for them to run an operation? And what are the success rate? And what is going to be the gain? And when you start to see more evidence of more than one reason for anything, that's when you know it's an op, whether it be a murder, whether it be an assassination, whether it be a coup d'etat, a false flag terror event, whatever have you. And this is one of those things that that definitely it just points in the direction that on all fronts they're figuring out a way to do this. Now, I talked about last night how it appeared that this was a way to try to discredit quote unquote conspiracy theorists and researchers and truthers and all this stuff, and would surely, I think also fan the flames of this armed conflict and this armed revolution. And don't forget, as we talked about last night out of Bramley's book, all of these revolutions have always been staged at the top. They've always been co-opted and staged at the top. And, this is really no different. But this Osama thing has served a multitude of purposes for them, just like 9/11, where you had, the ability to clamp down the police state, the ability to further track and trace all of us here at home, all of the control it gave them, the collapse of the dollar, blah, 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 on and on and on and on and on. Not to mention the gold heist and bringing down the buildings, and the insurance money and all this stuff, and the war on terror and furthering the war effort and allowing them to be able to go into Iraq and steal the antiquities, allowing them to initiate the Crusades 2.0 against the Arab population of the world, which is exactly what it is. These people have a bloodthirsty agenda to kill off Semites. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. That's their plan. That's the underlying thing about all of this. They'll tell you, oh, they want to kill us all. Blah, blah. Well, no, not necessarily. They really want to kill the Semites first, but of course, you won't hear that from most of these white supremacist radio hosts out there, and there are a lot of them. My goodness gracious, there are a lot of them. Anyway, we're gonna be getting into a few of these stories that are pointing more and more in the direction of just the different evidence of this being a massive operation and the different ways that they've benefited from it. I wanted to also make a special announcement. I don't have any of the details yet. Got to get back with the people here, but our listeners, I think for about 2 years now, have had a systematic email campaign going on to try and get Red Ice Radio out of Gothenburg, Sweden, with Henrik Palmgren over there. We played some of their archives on the network here through the years, still do, and it's a big reach. It's a big audience. And our listeners have been trying to get me to get them to have me on over there. I know for at least since the first Secret Right came out in 2009, so probably at least 2 years. Some of you guys have been seeing emails. Well, congratulations both to you and me. It seems that your hard work has paid off now. And they have asked me to be a guest on Red Ice Radio. So, and to come on and talk about the Council for National Policy, Jesuits, John Birch Society. So it's a good opportunity, man. I think I'll be able to go on there and we might be able to reach some people maybe we weren't able to reach before. This could be, this could be huge. This could be a game changer. It could be, it could turn things around big time. There might be some people out there on the fence if I go on there for 2 hours and talk about this stuff and just lay it on the line over there. I mean, I think if you give me 2 hours to talk about the CMP, I think you're going to walk away. I think it's going to be pretty hard to walk away from a 2-hour conversation with me and everything that I've accumulated in my knowledge base about these clowns. I would say I make a pretty damn good case. I would say I make a pretty damn good case. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't know when it's going to be yet. It'll be taped. It's always taped. It's recorded. So I'm sure it'll probably be happening, I don't know, a few weeks or whenever it does. But just want to let you guys know that and say thank you for everybody that sent emails and trying to have them on. I guess finally they ran out of guests. I guess there's only so many people you can interview, and I guess they had to get around to me eventually, right? Jesus Christ, we've because I've heard a lot of good programs on there. Don't get me wrong, I have. There's been a lot of great programs. I think I've got some great information off of there, but I've heard some too, some bad guests, just some guests where you could hear Henrik too. He's like, "Oh God, I wish we would have got this person on," Hopefully he won't be that way when I come on. We'll see. I'll slide a bag of Swedish fish his way and maybe I can smooth things over with him. But yeah, I'm excited about that. Should be fun. So again, thanks to everybody who put the word out and sent emails and tried to get me on. Everything else, I really appreciate that. It did pay off. So yeah, I think they probably had to get around to me eventually. But back to what I was starting out with tonight. You see this operation being pushed, and you see the different levels of this Osama operation. So I've got a couple of things I'd like to talk about on that front for you, if I could, here at the beginning of the show tonight. Osama bin Laden evidence: Al-Qaeda considered 9/11 anniversary attack. Oh, see, this is great. Now, see, they've got this. They got this golden ticket. They got this blank check now, where not only did they conveniently be able to, dispose of this guy's body, even if they really did have him, which is questionable. But again, this whole operation, I think the whole thing is about revealing that this is staged. I think they're bringing all this information, allowing all this evidence about it being possibly staged and being talked about. And we've got these, we'll talk about this in a minute too. We've got fake pictures that are being passed around to senators as legit pictures. Who's doing that? And what is the benefit of that? You see, I think they're going to make this an issue. I think the GOP is going to make this an issue. I think this is going to be the new birth certificate thing. I think this is going to be it. I think they're going to make a campaign issue out of this. And they're really starting to marry this quote unquote conspiracy culture with mainstream politics. There's a poll that came out today that said the only GOP, the only person close in the GOP that could beat Obama right now at this point would be Ron Paul. You see how they're doing this, folks? I've told you this was coming. You guys didn't believe me 2 years ago when I told you they were going to bring Ron Paul and the truth movement and the conspiracy movement out into the mainstream in a very big and bad way. You didn't believe me. A lot of people called me crazy. A lot of people said I didn't know what the fuck I was talking about. A lot of people said that when I was on Oracle, and I said exactly that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is happening now. I was correct yet again, and I'm not gloating. I don't like being correct about this stuff. But the fact of the matter is, I don't come on air with anything unless I've checked it out first. And that was one of the biggest things. I saw this coming a mile away. I predicted they'd say Osama caught Obama and Obama caught Osama. Obama, Osama, who caught who? I don't know. Who was on top? Who's on third? Who was fucking who in the ass? Somebody dropped the WMD picture. We need to bring that picture back. Remember back when that was going around my chat room? That was long before any of this horse shit broke out. It was like 2 years ago. It was like 2009. It was like a picture of Osama bin Laden holding a Quran and fucking Barry Soetoro in the ass. It's out of control. So they have a perfect golden ticket, perfect blank check now. Not only were they able to get him, but they also got his very top secret computers with top secret Al-Qaeda info on them. With everything laid out, every nook and cranny terrorist attack they were going to ever carry out. My goodness. So this is double for them. Wow. I mean, this is a great campaign boost right here. Not only did we, the war on terror has been successful. This justifies everything. They've already said it justifies everything. An early read of the material seized from Osama bin Laden's compound has not yet produced evidence of a specific imminent terror plot against the U.S., but does show the group continues to have murderous aspirations. According to U.S. officials and documents obtained by ABC News, the trove of evidence U.S. Navy SEALs recovered during the raid of bin Laden's compound, which cost the al-Qaeda leader his life, shows that al-Qaeda remained fixated on so-called soft targets like transportation. Oh, right. Yeah. Convenient, right? Because that's where they're going next. That's where they've been going next. That's what all of this toll road bullshit has all been all about all along. What do you think? I mean, that's why Giuliani was down here in Dallas brokering all our toll roads off to Spain, to Juan Carlos. I mean, this is why they were doing it. This is because now we don't even have toll booths here in Dallas. You just go through the toll, and it has these Raytheon scanners on it. I shit you not, they're made by Raytheon. You can see it when you go through them. And they just scan your license plate, and then every month they send you a bill in the mail that's everyone you've gone through. So you've instead of having the option to go through and just pay one at a time, instead they give you an itemized bill, and then if you don't pay it on time, they start sending a hitman after you or whatever they do. I don't know what they're doing at this point. But that I've said for the longest time, the next big attack is going to happen. There's going to be a terrorist attack on a major highway or a major bridge. Maybe something even like the Golden Gate Bridge. That's been one they've talked about running an op on for many years. And lo and behold, just conveniently in the also convenient, mother lode of all Al-Qaeda information computer they happen to luckily find here. By the way, did you hear they found a bunch of weed out there too? Yeah, we got a story here about that. Was Osama a pothead? Marijuana found growing alongside bin Laden compound. Well, I don't know. Somebody was in there getting high and fucking, I tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna put a jihad on these motherfuckers, and we're gonna hit them with a 9/11 Part 2 electric boogaloo. I mean, I don't know. It's ridiculous, this narrative that they're building. I mean, it's got holes in it. I tell you, they need the old Condi and Turd Burglar Rove team back in, because I mean, this narrative's even worse than the fable they strung together for 9/11. This one's falling apart a lot quicker than that one did. So yeah, so now they have this golden computer that they can claim. I mean, they can claim that bin Laden had, whatever on that computer. They can claim he had, pictures of George Bush's head, asleep on the pillow with like his balls in his mouth or something. Oh, that's funny, George. We had to take a picture to remember this. Oh, they can say whatever they want. And everybody's just going, oh, yeah, well, I believe it. They said it on the news. My God. They said it on the goddamn TV. Why should I have any reason to doubt it? It was on the television. People have this thing in their head where they think that television somehow legitimizes something. You tell people, oh, yeah, blah, 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 I'm on the radio or this, that, and the other. So-and-so, are you on TV? No, I'm not on TV. Well, call me when you're on TV, bucko, then maybe I'll listen to you. What? So because you come out of that programming box, somehow it gives it more credibility? That is the mentality, which is exactly why you should question seeing people like Alex Jones and all these other guys popping up on television. Because as soon as you start seeing them pop up on television, that should be your first indicator that what is going on is that they are trying to lend an air of legitimacy to something that otherwise doesn't have any credibility at all. And I don't know of a better definition of that than Alex Jones. So they have no choice at this point but to push him onto television because, again, television is the thing that naturally adds an air of credibility to whatever it is you're trying to pimp. Let's see what else we have here. Oh, well, we were talking about the this idea of this terror attack on transportation targets. Well, coincidentally enough, the interesting article here from The Hill, Obama administration floats draft plan to tax cars by the mile. That's a part of the same thing. So what I was stating earlier about there being some attack, some staged attack on U.S. motorways, I think that's the next in line. I think they have to do that in order to be able to do to the highways and the roads what they've done to the airports. I think that's their next big thing that they're planning. Something massive, something terrible, something with a lot of casualties, and something involving, so bad that just like after 9/11, everybody's going to beg for there to be, monitoring of whatever, of all highways and checkpoints and everything else. And if they install a tax by the mile system, which is already here with some of these roads like we have around where I live, we have the George aptly named George Bush Tollway over here, where you're already getting taxed by the mile. And again, every time you go through it, you get a Raytheon scanner. They know where you're going. They know how many times a day you go here and there, and this is a part of it. And also now with this new plan that's talked about here, that's the infrastructure that will allow this taxing by the mile to take place. The plan is part of the Administration of Transportation Opportunities Act, an undated draft of which was obtained this week by Transportation Weekly. The White House, however, said the bill is only an early draft that was not formally circulated within the administration. Oh, right. Yeah, try to back down from it. Well, whether it's not a formal proposal, whether it is or not, you can't deny the fact that, again, as I said, the infrastructure to do this is already there. They're not even going to have to spend really any extra money or any extra resources to do this. They will eventually once they try to put it on every road, but as it stands now, the infrastructure is already largely there. So, and as I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the show tonight, excuse me, how they're continuing to use every kind of multifaceted operation they can here with this Osama situation. Listen to this. This takes the cake. Did U.S. Special Forces just rescue the dollar? With the death of Osama bin Laden, U.S. forces ended a nearly 10-year worldwide hunt for the mastermind of the September 11th attacks and boosted the U.S. dollar's reserve currency status, too. Trader Steve Cortez said Wednesday, history shows us that the country with the strongest military is always the reserve currency, said Cortez, founder of Veracruz. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. See, there's another one. They can, you see, if they can prove that we have the most superior military, then they can keep the dollar afloat to keep their Ponzi scheme going a little longer. And with all the information we already have of the bankster control of Barack Obama, I mean, he's their boy. He's their pimp. He's their bitch, man. He's their fucking mouthpiece. He's their salesman. He's their closer. That's just no question. I mean, the banks have had their hands up Barack Obama's ass since the very beginning. That's a fact, man. I mean, Soros and fucking, all those guys. My God. So this is perfect. Not only does this give election clout, but this also, again, lets the bankers continue their Ponzi scheme a little bit longer. History shows us that the country with the strongest military is always the reserve currency. I think the ability of those heroes of SEAL Team 6, right? Which is great because since they're a secret team, we can never find out who they were, right? Or they can just make up whatever actors they want and say, well, this was the secretive SEAL Team 6. Here they are. But none of us will ever know because their identities are kept secret. This shit is just so, I don't know. I guess it's obvious to me because I look at this shit 24 hours a day. It's not obvious to everybody. I'm sorry. I try not to, get like that. I just get like that sometimes when I look at this shit. It just, you know what I mean? God damn, how can you do it? I have no time or candy for anybody who can't see this anymore. Because if you don't see it, you just flat don't want to see it. And that is the case, sadly, with a lot of people. The SEAL Team 6 to project power globally shows that the U.S. military is uncontested. And its dominance, I think the currency will reassert accordingly. Yeah, see, here's the thing. What would have happened had this been Russian troops or Chinese troops? What would have happened then? Would their currency have become the dollar dominant currency? I don't know. And you know what? It doesn't matter. You know why it doesn't fucking matter? Because this goddamn thing was staged. That's why it doesn't matter. If this had been a real raid, the chances that it would have been British troops or whoever else, my God, how many countries? Canada has troops over there. Italy has troops over there. There's just as much of a chance that if this had been a real ordeal that it could have been troops. No, it had to be U.S. troops that did this, right? That alone should bring about questions about this whole thing, but it's got holes in it like Swiss cheese anyway. The dollar hit a 3-year low against a basket of currencies on Wednesday as the euro gained nearly $1.50 as being the dollar has taken a huge hit over the past few months. Cortez thinks that there's a new lot of opportunity in being the long greenback. And being long the greenback, but wave the flag and buy the U.S. dollar, Cortez said, adding he thinks the dollar will soon hit its base with the end to the U.S. Federal Reserve's bond buying program, commonly referred to as quantitative easing. It's a very lonely dollar to bull right now, but I think it makes sense. Cortez said he's short the euro into the Europeans' bank meeting scheduled for Thursday. The central bank is expected to keep rates on hold. It raised rates in April. So, yeah, they're, we get to keep the reserve until Obama fixed the economy and he caught the most wanted terrorist in the world and was the most effective president for national security we've ever had. And he was a black man. Yes, Barack Obama is the savior indeed.
Suck Satan's cock, motherfucker.
Yeah, indeed. So let's talk about this. Why would there be fake Osama death photos being circulated to senators? Senators have been coming out and saying, yeah, no doubt he's dead. We've confirmed it, blah, blah, blah. We've got sources, a reliable source. And now they're finding out that up to 3 or 4 senators now have been duped by a fake photo. Now, who's passing this around? Obviously, they're trying to create cognitive dissonance. They're trying to create a conspiratorial mindset to be approached by this stuff. That's why I think they're going to make this an issue that this was faked and this was staged, and they're going to bring that out. And it's going to bring about questions about the whole credibility of the United States, and it's going to be further used to bring down this country. Listen to this. This is just odd. 3 Republican senators who claim to have seen images of Osama bin Laden after he was killed may have been duped. Republican Senator Scott Brown of Massachusetts said Wednesday that he had been fooled by a fake photograph ostensibly showing an image of bin Laden post-mortem. Right, the one that was on the Get Back Around, the one that, that was on a forum a year ago or whatever that was obviously faked. I have seen the pictures. I've received the briefings. I've spoken to the operational leaders, and I can tell you for a fact that he is dead, Brown said in an interview with WBZ Wednesday morning. He repeated the point to other news outlets as part of his argument that the images should not be released. Listen, I've seen the pictures. He's definitely dead, and if there's any conspiracy theories out there, you should put them to rest. But Brown is now telling media outlets that the photo that I saw and that a lot of other people saw is not authentic. His office would not say who showed the senator the fake photographs. 2 other Senate Republicans, Saxby Chambliss and Senator Kelly Ayotte, told reporters Wednesday morning that they had viewed post-mortem images of bin Laden. I saw a photo of him deceased. Obviously, he had been wounded. When you see the picture, it clearly has his features. But Ayotte released a statement Wednesday afternoon saying that she's not sure the picture was real. Well, see, but that doesn't matter. It's already, it's already come out. Everybody was paying attention when they first came out with this stuff, right? Oh, it's real. It's real. It's definitely him. I've seen the pictures, blah, blah, blah. And that's when these statements were taken. And now they're coming back almost a week later and saying, well, I don't know. I think maybe it was faked. But your average everyday person is not going to hear this. Your average everyday person is just going to go on about their business. This story won't get any play at all. Well, I was shown a photo by another senator of what appeared to be a deceased Osama bin Laden. I do not know if it was authentic, she said. However, I do believe a photo of the dead al-Qaeda leader should be released. Although some may be upset by the image of someone who has been shot in the head, releasing a photo is important to put to rest any conspiracy theories that may arise around the world and to provide for closure. And Chambliss, the vice chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, released an oblique statement Wednesday afternoon saying in part, quote, when I see the photos, I can make a judgment about the potential damage they may do. Apparently, there was some misunderstanding about that, Chambliss told reporters as he left a vote. Speaking of the image which he claimed to have seen, I have no idea where it came from. When asked how he, a high-ranking member of the Intelligence Committee, could have fallen for photos that might not be authentic, Chambliss replied, quote, I was shown a photo by an individual that was represented to me as a picture of bin Laden after he's been shot that appeared to be an accurate photo. It was not an official photo. He said the person who shared the electronic photo with him was not an administration official. The senator's initial claims seemed odd. But Senator Dianne Feinstein, the chair of the Intelligence Committee, insisted she had not been shown the closely guarded photos of Obama herself. President Obama told CBS News Wednesday that he would not release the images, saying it is important to make sure that the very graphic photos of somebody who was shot in the head are not floating around as an incitement to additional violence or as a propaganda tool. Fake photoshopped pictures of bin Laden have been appearing on the internet in the days since he was killed. It is not clear whether these are the pictures that the 3 senators and perhaps others believed were real. So cognitive dissonance flying around all over the place. First they show them these pictures. Oh, yeah, this is it. And they say, oh, no, that's not it. So that gets the juices turning this. Oh, well, maybe they aren't real. Maybe we did fake this. Blah, 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 blah. Sounds like they're trying to gain political capital and create another talking point for the right. I don't know. That's at least what it's looking like to me right now. Well, I mean, they stage everything behind the scenes. Everything behind the scenes is staged. If you've never seen the movie Wag the Dog, you should watch that movie sometime. It's an accurate representation of what they do. And, they stage death. They stage all this stuff. Everything you see when the president talks or anything else, all that stuff is staged. Understand, they have the White House is, for all intents and purposes, a gigantic movie set. It literally is. It's a goddamn movie set. They have the best high-def cameras in the world. When everything's perfect lighting, it's set up and shot just like an actual movie. So interesting article here from MediaBistro.com, how photos from Obama's speech on bin Laden's death were staged. There's a fascinating piece at Pointer that describes how since the Reagan era, and possibly before, it has been the standard operating procedure that during a live presidential address like the one President Obama gave announcing the death of Osama bin Laden, still cameras are not allowed to photograph the actual event. Photojournalists from Reuters and AP described how President Obama basically had to silently reenact part of his speech for the still cameras after giving it. White House photographer James Reed writes, quote, as President Obama continued his 9-minute address in front of just one main network camera, the photographers were held outside the room by staff and asked to remain completely silent. Once Obama was off air, we were escorted in front of that teleprompter, and the president then reenacted the walkout in first 30 seconds of the statement for us. The reason still cameras are not allowed during live presidential addresses is because of the noise from the camera shutters and the placement of the teleprompter. Duh. Not for any sinister conspiracy type reasons like we were hoping, and it's been going on a long time. The problem, according to Pointer, is that while many newspapers disclose that the photo they use is a reenactment, some do not. Publishing these photos goes against the National Press Photographers Association Code of Ethics, which includes this relevant passage, resist being manipulated by staged photo opportunities. My God. So inside the National Press Photographers Association Code of Ethics, it actually says resist being manipulated by staged photo opportunities, meaning stage photo opportunities is the norm. And if you're a photographer and you're out there dealing in politics, the regular thing that you're going to regularly come across is your photography being manipulated for staged photo opportunities. My God. I mean, they warn these people ahead of time before they even go out into the field. I mean, everything is staged. Unbelievable stuff there. Christine Amanpour predicted bin Laden's whereabouts in 2008. I saw this. I heard them talking about this. It was the hospital visiting my dad, and I heard them saying, oh, Christine Amanpour, she was in 2008 on Bill Maher. She said that, you know, he was in Pakistan and blah, 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 in a villa. And she was absolutely right. Well, I remember reading, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, Christine Amanpour is like a reporter for CNN or something like that. And she's been really climbing the ranks over the past 4 or 5 years. I remember reading 4 or 5 years ago, probably it was, that she's a full-blown Mossad agent. She is a double agent who works in the media while at the same time working for the Israeli Mossad as an intelligence operative. So they roll her out and say, oh, she predicted his whereabouts in 2008. Well, of course she did. She's on the inside of this. Amanpour is a Mossad agent. The whore of Israel. Yeah, I got to read this one. Among the various vegetable crops growing alongside the bin Laden compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan, a row of marijuana plants was also discovered by CNN reporter Nick Robertson. But Nick Robertson was like, hey, guys, check this shit out. Afghani Kush everywhere. Holy fuck. He's probably loading his fucking pockets up and shit. I'm with the press. I'm with the press. Why do I smell like this? I've been at the bin Laden compound for a week. Leave me alone. Yeah, that's why I smell like a skunk's ass. It begs the question, was Osama bin Laden a pothead? Of course, the answer to that is in no way clear. The plants very well could have been one of the other individuals who stayed at the compound or another local entirely. Reports from the scene indicated that as many as 36 people shared the 3-story house, including as many as 23 children. Some have speculated that the al-Qaeda leader may have been using the marijuana as a medicine. If he was indeed on dialysis, as an unnamed U.S. intelligence source told Asia Week back in 2000, then he could have been using marijuana as a painkiller. That story ultimately led to numerous conspiracy theories about bin Laden's death, mostly based on hearsay and speculation, and the claim was ultimately never proven. Well, yeah, it actually came out in an Egyptian newspaper. His death and his obituary and everything else, but I guess that's not, mainstream enough for you. Bin Laden's associates were also regularly said to have purchased Coca-Cola and Pepsi from the local market. And the shopkeepers have told reporters they didn't prefer one over the other and usually bought both in bulk at the same time. Yeah, well, you don't give a fuck if you're high. Coke, Pepsi, it doesn't fucking matter. Mix it all together and fucking give it to me. Is it cold? Yeah, all right. You know, potheads don't give a fuck. I make a fuck to them. Coke, Pepsi, anything else, shit. Fuck it. Take whatever. Coke, Pepsi, I don't care. Jihad, Coke, Pepsi, jihad, Coke, gypsy, blah, blah, blah. Jihad, Afghani. Oh, that's good shit. Yes, jihad. I mean, I'm not saying that that's what's going on. I'm saying that's what they're trying to get us to believe. Oh my God. Yeah, they're just in there. You know what I mean? They're just passing the bong smoking Shiva worshippers, the assassins. Stuff does go hand in hand, though. Couple weird stories here. Ahmadinejad allies charged with sorcery. Close allies of Iran's President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad have been accused of using supernatural powers to further his policy amid an increasingly bitter power struggle between him and the country's supreme leader. Of course, yeah, I wouldn't fucking doubt that shit for a minute. That stuff's big over there, man. It's just like everywhere else up in the elites. That's the guys who are practicing this, especially in Iran. I mean, there's a whole history of that kind of stuff there with the jinn and with the Behistun inscription and King Darius. I mean, it's a very, very spiritual place. Don't forget that, when they invaded the Baghdad Museum, one of the big vaults that special forces opened up was just full of these genie bottles. Several people said to be close to the president and his chiefs of staff have been arrested in recent days in charge of being magicians and invoking the jinns. Ayanda, an Iranian news website, described one of the arrested men, Abbas Ghaffari, as a man with special skills in metaphysics and connections with the unknown worlds. Wow, that's a pretty detailed description. A man with special skills in metaphysics and connections with the unknown worlds. This doesn't sound to me like this is your average everyday garden variety, burn him, he's a witch. This doesn't sound like your garden variety witch hunt type of stuff here. A man with special skills in metaphysics in connection with unknown worlds. Hell yeah, these guys are using this stuff. All these guys are. That's how they got power, don't you know? The arrests come amid a growing rift between Ahmadinejad and Khamenei, which has prompted several MPs to call for the president to be impeached. Ahmadinejad's unprecedented disobedience prompted harsh criticism from conservatives who warned that he might face the fate of being the first pro-revolution president who was impeached. And this goes on and on and on, but I'm trying to get to any of the other things it talked about. It didn't really say any other things about what they were doing with as far as sorcery and stuff goes. So there's that one. And then, of course, there's this one, another weird, strange sorcery story in the news. Funny how they're bringing this memes out all of a sudden. You guys notice that? Also, they're bringing out, news, lots of news stories, lots of TV shows about exorcisms and about, spirit possession and all this various stuff. Hundreds of albinos are thought to have been killed for black magic purposes in Tanzania, and albino girls are being raped because of a belief that they offer a cure for AIDS, a Canadian rights group said on Thursday. At least 63 albinos, including children, are known to have been killed, mostly in the remote northwest of the country. We believe there are hundreds and hundreds of killings in Tanzania, but only a small number are being reported to the police. There's a belief that if you have relations with a girl with albinism, you will cure AIDS. So there are many girls with albinism who are being raped in this country because of this belief, which is a false belief. Around 1.4 million Tanzanians among a population of 40.7 million have the HIV virus that leads to AIDS. Albino hunters kill their victims and harvest their blood, hair, and genitals and other body parts for potions that witch doctors say bring luck in love, life, and business. It is believed a person with albinism is a curse. They are from the devil. They are not human. They do not die. They simply disappear. Ernest Kamaya, head of the Tanzanian Albino Society and a sufferer of the pigment disorder, said social stigma prevented many girls from reporting rape, making it difficult to say how many albinos had been sexually abused. These things are taking place underground. Even the albino killings started quietly before the atrocities were finally exposed in public. Activists last week reported 3 murders of teenage albino boys from the same family in northern Tanzania who were poisoned and their bones later robbed from their graves. The Tanzanian government says it is estimated that it is determined to halt the macabre killings, but has been widely criticized for inaction. So again, really trying to get that into the minds of the culture. It really makes you wonder why that is. I think there are things that are going to start to happen and occur all around us that are going to make it hard to deny that stuff. Oh, I missed this article earlier. This went along with the theme that I had started the show out with tonight about the different levels of the operations, the multi-tiered operation that they have executed, and they always tend to execute with any of their major operations. The Osama situation going on currently is no different than any other bigger operations they've launched, and will have far-reaching repercussions and effects for them to capitalize on for some time to come. And the biggest evidence that we have, and the biggest thing that is the smoking gun for the fact that Osama bin Laden was a CIA asset for many, many years, many decades. And the first of which, one of our listeners pointed out last night that there's never been any footage of Osama shown on television. And I was like, yeah, obviously. I mean, the only thing we've ever seen is that picture of him with Brzezinski. Well, that picture with Brzezinski that's what they used him for. They used him to attack the Serbs during the Mujahideen War. And I'll tell you what, folks, if this doesn't seal the deal for you on this being a total operation with this Osama situation, I don't know what will. Because listen to this. Conveniently, right as their operative, Tim Osman, which was his CIA code name when he was being used during the Mujahideen War, guess what has now happened today, Thursday, May 5th, right in time with Osama allegedly being found dead. Iranian Mujahideen could come off U.S. blacklist. So let me get this straight. Osama bin Laden, who was a CIA asset who fought with the Mujahideen against the Serbs in the Mujahideen War, propped up, given weapons by the United States, paid by us at the highest levels. Just a few days after this guy dies, all of a sudden, they decide that they're going to take the Mujahideen off the U.S. blacklist, and lo and behold, what is the Iranian Mujahideen? They are the up-and-coming political party that is challenging the power structure of Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. And these guys are fully backed by the United States government, and they have been going back to the days of Brzezinski and Tim Osman during the Mujahideen War. I mean, am I the only person that found this article, or am I just freaking out on this article now for no reason and I'm late to the party? I mean, it could be that. I've been really busy. I don't know. To me, this is a goddamn huge story. They're taking the Mujahideen off the fucking blacklist. And they just happen to be the up-and-coming political party that is going to challenge the power structure in Iran. Perfect for the elite. This is perfect for them. Perfect for the agenda. Don't mistake it, folks. Them launching this operation on May 1st was by no means an accident. It was a clear signal that this is the dawning of a new day for them. This is the dawning of the next level of the operation, level 2.0. Washington will decide within 6 months whether to remove the banned Iranian opposition People's Mujahideen from a terrorist blacklist, a U.S. State Department official told lawmakers on Thursday. We are working as expeditiously as possible to complete a review on the issue, David Benjamin, coordinator for counterterrorism of the U.S. State Department, told a congressional hearing. This is from the AFP, folks. Raw story here that I'm reading from. Asked how long it would take, the diplomat responded that the review should be compiled in less than 6 months. Now listen to this. This is where it gets important. The People's Mujahideen of Iran, also known as the Mujahideen-e-Khalaq organization, features not only figures not only on the U.S. watch list, but also appears on a list of 50 banned militant groups compiled by the European Union. The group, founded in 1965 to fight Iran's royalist regime, hopes to overthrow the country's current Islamic Republic and has long contested the terror designation. It insists that it is a legitimate opposition movement. So Osama bin Laden, Tim Osman, who fought with the Mujahideen, conveniently dies, and the United States says, okay, now after, 40 years of having them on the blacklist, 5 days after he's dead, we're going to take them off the blacklist. And by the way, they are the next up-and-coming power players for control of Iran. And if we have pictures of Brzezinski giving weapons to the Mujahideen, don't you think it stands to reason that the Mujahideen are a U.S.-led op? They were in the days of the Mujahideen War. What makes you think anything's changed now? Unbelievable fucking story here. Unbelievable. This should be top news. I mean, if you know anybody out there who, doesn't believe you when you tell them about this phony bin Laden stuff, you should show them that story and explain to them what I just explained to you. We know that we want to put in somebody that we control, we know that as a fact, and this is the perfect way for them to do that. That's just unbelievable stuff. Unbelievable stuff. One more news story here before we take a break and come back and get into reading from Bramley tonight. Galactic alignment is upon us, my friend. We are here. I mean, this is why this stuff is all happening. It's all coming around us. And, you can feel the energy shifting every day. That's from space.com. 6 planets now aligned in the dawn sky. Galactic alignment. Here it is. It's upon us. We're in it. If you get up any morning for the next few weeks, you'll be treated to the sight of all the planets except Saturn arrayed along the ecliptic, the path of the sun through the sky. For the last 2 months, almost all the planets have been hiding behind the sun, but this week they all emerge and are arrayed in a grand line above the rising sun. Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Jupiter are visible, and you can add Uranus and Neptune to your count if you have binoculars or a small telescope. This sky map of the 6 planets shows that they should appear at dawn to observers with clear weather and an unobstructed view. Oh, listen to this. You guys are going to love this shit. Astrologers have always been fascinated by planetary alignments, and the doomsayers of 2012 have been prophesizing a mystical alignment on December 21st, 2012. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Regardless of what you believe about, what's going to happen on that date, the only incontrovertible thing that we know for a fact about December 21st, 2012 is the fact that that's when the galactic alignment happens. That's a fact. The Illuminated fraternities have known about it for years, centuries. The modern tools of astronomers, such as planetarium software, show otherwise. Absolutely no alignment at any time in 2012. But they also reveal a beautiful alignment visible during the month of May this year. While astrologers view planetary alignments as foretellers of disasters, modern astronomers, amateur astronomers, look forward to them as nothing more than grand photo ops. Now, that's an interesting thing. Astrologers view planetary alignments as a foretellers of disaster. That's not actually always the case. Then this is how you know they're trying to hijack this stuff into it being something good is supposed to happen, but they are going to try to make us manifest something bad happening. I've known that for quite some time. But planetary alignments don't always signify just disasters. What they actually signify are big, gigantic changes. And for some people, huge, massive changes that change everything about their existence is a disaster because they can't deal with it. But that's exactly the same terminology that the Mayans were using when they described the end of the known world. Not the end of the world, but the end of the way of the world as we know it to be. And that's what planetary alignment is. either a change, an evolution of our bodies or something. But the galactic alignment definitely always does provide this stuff. So it's just interesting to see how much propaganda and disinfo and fear-mongering stuff. They notice how they try to debunk conspiracy theories while at the same time sliding their own brand and version of disinfo and fear in there. It's very subtle. It's very sly. It's very slick, but unfortunately, it's not slick enough to get past us now, is it? We're going to take a break, come back, and get into reading from William Bramley's Godspeed, and I'm going to get into some information about Mormons and Joseph Smith and that kind of stuff. So, all right, back here with you on the Global Reality, right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thanks for being up late with us here tonight, Moonbats, and appreciate everybody being with us. We're going to continue reading from William Bramley's Godspeed tonight, and we've got chapter 30 coming up for you here. Master Smith and the Angel. This is going to get into the Mormon stuff. So, again, thanks for being up late with us and listening live or later on a broadcast, on a rebroadcast or a archive, or anything else. Thank you so much for listening and continuing to tell people out there. We're starting to get the message out more and more and more to everybody, and so it's good stuff. But please support our work if you can, folks. We need support right now. At the website, www.theglobalreality.com. We have the chip-in banner there for the month for the bills. And with the donate button there, if you want to donate larger amounts to help us buy new computers, new stuff to make better and, better looking, better quality stuff, to take our info to another level. I mean, our info is progressing more and more with what we're coming out with. But if we get more funds and more money and more support in, we'll be able to actually start making everything look more professional, which will then translate to more people. And I think with the things that are happening in the world, I think whether it's making a lot of this stuff more apparent, I think my role and our role here with the Global Reality, what we do, is now more important than it ever has been. I thank goodness. I mean, I thank my lucky stars every day I got in this stuff when I did, because if there's not an opposition to the opposition, the phony opposition, if there aren't people out here trying to delve into the other realms of information and show people that, look, there's way more to this stuff than the people who call themselves truth tellers are telling you. If there aren't some of us out here doing this, then these guys are going to get their agenda achieved a lot sooner and a lot easier than we would like them to. So that's the reason right there in a nutshell why I ask people to donate to what we do. Because we are needed. What I do here with my work and my films and the radio shows is very important to allowing there to be a contrary voice to now these people who are allegedly speaking for those of us who have done our homework. Alex Jones and their phony patriot movement, the truth movement, and all that stuff does not represent me any more than the phony, pinko, commie, lefty, liberal conspiracy theorists do. All part of the same control paradigm, and as we've seen, history have shown that these controlled movements are exactly what they love to keep any real opposition to the power structure from the people from ever happening. So we're one of the few things that's out here standing in the way of that, and so we don't have commercials, and I don't ask you to buy anything, I'd much rather you donate. But the thing about it is, we got way more listeners now than we have donators. So if you've never donated to us before, and you've never made a donation, and maybe you have, extra cash or large sums of cash, maybe you're wealthy. I don't know. I don't know who all is in our listening audience, but please, I inspire you to encourage you to make a donation and help out the people out there who work their butts off to keep us alive here. And you know who you are out there. There's a few people out there, 2 or 3 people out there who donate on a regular basis who keep us alive here. And if it wasn't for you guys, we'd be dead in the water. So you know who you are, and I love you guys who bust your butts to just as much as I do for this. I salute you guys most definitely. Well, help those folks out. Become one of those people. Help those people out that are helping us out and helping me out and helping keep this going. They need help with this. They can't do it all. So thank you so much. Let's get into chapter 30 tonight. I'm looking forward to this. I think this is going to be good. And, it pisses them off. I tell you what, if there's one thing that pisses these guys off, I don't know why. One of two things. When you talk about Scientology or you talk about Mormons, God damn, it just pisses these motherfuckers off. So here we go. Master Smith and the Angel. We have seen many instances in which religious agitation and revivalism were associated with the UFO phenomenon. The Hebrew rebellions in Egypt under Moses, the Christian agitations under Jesus, the Islamic militancy under Muhammad, and the religious activism during the UFO-plagued years of the Black Death. In the early 20th century, a particularly interesting bout of intense religious fervor overtook some of the communities in British Wales. This incident is known as the Welsh Revival, 1904 to 1905, in which a preacher driven by inner voices electrified the countryside with his sermons. People were reporting all manner of unusual phenomena during the revival years, including bright moving lights in the sky that we would today label UFOs. For example, we read the following personal eyewitness accounts gathered by the Society for Psychical Research and published in the findings in proceedings in 1905. Well, isn't that interesting? So they published the findings of these eyewitness accounts in the Society for Psychical Research. Well, that was the group that was out of Cambridge that was doing the same. They were involved in going back to the days of John Dee, and they were involved in that was the group that discredited Blavatsky, took all of her work, and then shipped it off to America and set up American Theosophy that was a bastardized version of what Blavatsky had originally created. That's a fact. So much disinfo goes around the Patriot movement and the Truth movement about Blavatsky, it's ridiculous. All lies. First of all, my attention was drawn to it by a person in the crowd, and I looked and saw a block of fire as it was rising from the mountainside, and it followed along the mountainside for about 200 to 300 yards before it gradually rose to heaven. Then a star, as it were, shot out to meet me, and they clapped together and formed a ball of fire. It also grew brighter as it rose higher, and then it seemed to sway about a lot. Then it seemed to form into something like the helm of a ship. The size of it at this time would be about the size of the moon, but very much brighter, and lasted about a quarter of an hour. The star appeared like a ball of fire in the sky, glittering and sparkling. As it went up, it seemed to be bubbling over. This continued for about 20 minutes. Firstly, there appeared in the heavens a very large and bright ball of fire. It was of much more brilliant luster than an ordinary star, very much the color of a piece of iron, white heated. It had two brilliant arms which protruded towards the earth. Between these arms, there appeared a further light or lights resembling a cluster of stars, which seemed to be quivering with varying brightness. It lasted for 10 minutes or more. It is interesting that in some regions of Wales, the lights arrived at the very same time as the revival. The proceedings report, in reply to questions about his experiences, Mr. M stated that he had never seen such lights before the revival, nor had he heard of others seeing them. The lights were seen high up in the sky where no houses or anything else could lead us to make any mistake. They were seen both on very dark nights and also when the moon and stars were visible. The lights were seen at least once near a chapel and also leaving an area where a prominent preacher lived, thereby hinting at a direct UFO involvement with some of the people who were responsible for the revival. We happened to reach Landfair at about 9:15 p.m. It was a rather dark and damp evening. Nearing the chapel, which can be seen from a distance, we saw balls of light, deep red, ascending from one side of the chapel, the side which is in a field. There was nothing in this field to cause this phenomenon, no houses, etc. After that, we walked to and from the main road for nearly 2 hours without seeing any light except from a distance in the direction of Landbetter. This time it appeared brilliant, ascending high into the sky from amongst the trees where lives the well-known Reverend C.E. The distance between us and the light which appeared this time was about a mile. Then, about 11 o'clock, when the service which Mrs. Jones conducted was brought to a close, two balls of light ascended from the same place, and of a similar appearance to those we saw first. In a few minutes afterwards, Mrs. Jones was passing us home in her carriage, and in a few seconds after she passed on the main road and within a yard of us, there appeared a brilliant light twice tinged with blue. In 2 or 3 seconds after this disappeared, on our right-hand side, within 150 or 200 yards, there appeared twice very huge balls of similar appearance as that which appeared on the road. It was so brilliant and powerful this time that we were dazed for a second or two, and then immediately there appeared a brilliant light ascending from the woods where the Reverend C.E. lives. It appeared twice this time. On the other side of the main road close by, there appeared ascending from a field high into the sky 3 balls of light, deep red. 2 of these appeared to split up, whilst the middle one remained unchanged. Then we left for home, having been watching these last phenomena for a quarter of an hour. Included among the Welsh aerial phenomena were music and sound effects coming out of the sky. It seems that the sound effects were designed to more formally implant the revivalist message in people by making them believe that they were witnessing visitations from heaven. EB on Wednesday previous heard that about 4 o'clock what appeared to him to be a thunderclap, followed by a lovely singing in the air. EE on Saturday evening between 7 and 8 while returning home from his work heard some strange music similar to the vibration caused by telegraph wires, only much louder. On an eminence, the hill being far away from trees and wires of any kind, it was more or less a still evening. It is interesting that these UFO phenomena were debunked in 1905 in an identical way that modern UFOs are debunked today, revealing that debunking is by no means a late 20th century phenomenon. Well, that's an interesting take that the debunkers have been around forever. Priest class bozos, most of them. Oh, well, that's just the devil. One investigator in his report of February 21st, 1905, dismissed all of the Welsh phenomenon as farm lanterns, marsh gas, the planet Venus, and fantasies of overwrought brains. They do the same thing today. That's unbelievable. That's 1905. And today, it's Chinese lanterns and swamp gas and Venus. Yeah, that's what it is. They haven't even changed their fucking playbook of debunking since 1905, guys. My God. Farm lanterns and marsh gas? How is that? I mean, I saw a UFO report recently. Oh, it was Chinese lanterns. Yeah, Chinese lanterns. That's what it was. And swamp gas. They've been using swamp gas forever. They need to get some new material. God damn. Can't you guys come up with anything better than that? Such explanations were no more helpful in 1905 than they are today in shedding light on some genuinely remarkable phenomenon. Fucking swamp gas. Damn, they love swamp gas. Oh, it's swamp gas, yeah. Swamp gas causes everything. Crazy shit that is. You know, swamp gas is so powerful. Why don't we bottle that shit up and use it in our cars? I mean, that sounds like some killer shit. I'd like to huff some swamp gas. Maybe I'll see some UFOs. I mean, my God, it sounds like good shit. The Welsh revival was not an isolated incident. It followed a similar occurrence in New York State almost a century earlier. The events in New York included a vision leading to the founding of the Mormon Church by a teenage youth named Joseph Smith. His story is worth looking at. Joseph Smith described it as a beautiful, clear day in the spring of 1820. Master Joseph was 14 or 15 years of age, and his mind was in a state of confusion. In his hometown of Manchester, New York, intense quarreling had broken out between various Christian sects, all of which were vying for members. To sort out the controversies in his mind, Joseph climbed a lonely hill near his home, prayed aloud, and hoped that God would answer him. What happened next was probably more than he had bargained for. Immediately, I was seized upon by some power which entirely overcame me and had such an astonishing influence over me as to bind my tongue so that I could not speak. Thick darkness gathered around me, and it seemed to me for a time as if I were doomed to sudden destruction. Just as Joseph was about to give into despair, he saw a pillar of light exactly over my head, above the brightness of the sun, which descended gradually until it fell upon me. It no sooner appeared than I found myself delivered from the enemy which held me bound. When the light rested upon me, I saw two personages whose brightness and glory defy all description, standing above me in the air. One of them spoke unto me, calling me by name, and said, pointing to the other, "This is my beloved son, hear him." Joseph Smith, 216-17. So began a series of appearances by an angel whose reported dictates and pronouncements are the foundation of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, also known as the Mormon Church. This church is without a doubt an important institution. Its membership in 1985 totaled approximately 5.8 million people, and the church has extensive business and land holdings. Beginning with a teenage boy on a hill in New York State, the church has grown to influence the lives of many people. Joseph's vision on the hill was the first of several visits that he would receive from his angel friend. The second visit occurred 3.5 years after the first. Joseph Smith had just gone to bed and was in the act of praying when I discovered a light appearing in my room, which continued to increase until the room was lighter than at noonday, when immediately a personage appeared at my bedside, standing in the air, for his feet did not touch the floor. He had on a loose robe of most exquisite whiteness beyond anything earthly I had ever seen. Yeah, there's the ethereal temple robe again that William Henry and I talked about on the show we did. Nor do I believe that any earthly thing could be made to appear so exceedingly white and brilliant. Light beings wearing ethereal garment robes. The figure in Joseph's room had naked hands, wrists, feet, and ankles. It also had a bare head, neck, and exposed chest. The figure introduced itself as Moroni, the angel of a man who had lived centuries earlier. The resurrected Moroni imparted a message to Joseph consisting of quotes from final judgment prophecies in the Old Testament. Moroni stated that the prophecies were about to be fulfilled. Moroni also informed Joseph about the existence of ancient metal plates which contained some of the history of the early North American continent. Joseph was told that he must later dig up the plates, have them translated, and present the translation to the world. After this message, the image of Moroni vanished in a unique way. I saw the light in the room began to gather immediately around the person of him who had been speaking to me, and it continued to do so until the room was again left dark, except just around him, when instantly I saw, as it were, a conduit open right up into heaven, and he ascended until he entirely disappeared. So a fucking light opened up. They just, beamed him up, Scotty. Just, he just went right back up in the ship. I mean, it's obviously the story of an encounter with an extraterrestrial or some sort of, again, I think this is another example of another one of these. It seems that these custodians, to me, had they had an instinctive a knowledge of who was who in the bloodlines, starting from going back to the very beginning of when the genetic manipulation took place, all the way into the days of Joseph Smith, and I'm sure after that and into the modern day. Because it seems that certain people within the bloodlines have these experiences with these custodial extraterrestrials that know they are of these bloodlines, and these are the ones that they put in charge of creating these new religions where this individual person is deified as a god, when in fact they're just, an extraterrestrial that's trying to enslave somebody. I mean, it's absolutely what it is. Joseph did not have long to ponder the curious phenomenon. The mysterious light and visitors soon re-entered his room. Of this second visit that night, Joseph relates, the angel commenced and again related the very same things which he had done at his first visit without the least variation, which having done, he informed me of great judgments which were coming upon the earth with great desolations by famine, sword, and pestilence, and that these grievous judgments would come on the earth in Joseph Smith's generation. Having related these things, he again ascended as he had done before. The apparition in Joseph's bedroom came and went repeatedly the full night. On the following day, while he was out in the field, the exhausted young Smith abruptly lost his strength while trying to climb a fence, and he fell unconscious to the ground. Upon regaining awareness, Joseph observed above him the same angel repeating the same message. A new postscript had been added, however, The angel instructed Joseph Smith to tell his father of the visions. Some critics dispute the accuracy of Joseph Smith's stories, pointing out that Smith did not record his first vision on paper until 19 years after it had happened. Under the circumstances of the time, this delay is understandable when we consider Joseph's youth and minimal education. To the degree Smith's accounts are accurate, they are worth looking at. Did he have a true religious vision as his followers believe, or was he, as others suggest, a victim of UFO tampering? Joseph's angel, Moroni, was different than the angels described by Ezekiel and John in the Bible. Smith's angel did not wear items that could be interpreted as a helmet and boots. Moroni was a figure in a true robe. However, Joseph appears to have been looking at a recorded image projected through the window into his room. The clue to this lies in Joseph's words that Moroni had repeated the second message without the least variation. Oh, so they shot a beam down and just, sent a fucking hologram in there. That's probably what a lot of this stuff was. They could make these gods appear to whoever they wanted to and use holographic technology and beam it into somebody's room and, command them to set up this new religion with this hologram as the god. I mean, my goodness. See, this is the thing, I've talked about this many times, and I find this more and more. Our technology, as we progress with technology, the context for what these ancient things say becomes more apparent to us. And I think that's really been why they've been after the antiquities, because they know that now that we all have a reference point for technology, if we start getting our hands on some of what these ancient texts, these ancient tablets, Sumerian clay cylinder seals, and all this stuff say, then we may actually glean a context for things that these folks in no way, shape, or form are ready for us to know about quite yet, even though in many cases we do know quite a bit more than they want us to do anyway because of logical deduction and connecting the dots and everything else. So it says this suggests a recorded message. The manner in which Moroni disappeared indicates a projected light image from a source in the sky outside the house. When Moroni returned from a third time that same night, Smith heard him rehearse or repeat over again the same things as before. If Smith's account is accurate and UFO related, there would be tremendous humor in it. Today, we can go to Disneyland and marvel at remarkable lifelike projected images of talking heads in the haunted house ride. A similar projection viewed by a young country bumpkin in the 19th century would no doubt be considered nothing less than a true vision from God. Certainly, young Smith's narrative resembles earlier custodial encounters. In many respects, a bright light descends from the sky, followed by the appearance of angels. Joseph's testimony that he felt seized and unable to move is identical to several modern UFO close encounters in which eyewitnesses report being immobilized, especially before an abduction. Other Mormon writings also tend to support the likelihood that Joseph Smith had a UFO encounter. The Mormon doctrines revealed by Smith state that there are many inhabited planets in the universe. This was quite a daring idea for an uneducated man of the 19th century. Smith added that God inhabits a human flesh and bones body and that God lives near a star called Kolob. In other words, God is a human-like extraterrestrial living on another planet. What we seem to clearly have in Joseph Smith's experience is another appearance of our custodial friends pretending that they are God and meddling in human affairs by implanting yet another apocalyptic religion on Earth. Bingo, 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 bingo. Bingo, that's the key. Harsh criticism is often aimed at the Bible of Smith's religion, the Book of Mormon. The Book of Mormon is said to be a translation of the ancient metal plates that Smith had dug up at the command of his angel. The stories contained in the Book of Mormon are remarkable and, to many, unbelievable. The Book of Mormon is written in a style of prose resembling the Old Testament. It ties the history of ancient North America to the history described in the Old Testament. According to Mormon, people from Palestine were transported in saucer-like submarines to the Americas under the guidance of God in the year 600 BC. God was sending them to the New World largely because of the Tower of Babel incident. Somewhere in the Americas, perhaps Mexico or Central America, the refugees built magnificent cities rivaling those of the Old World. They fought wars and were obedient to the same gods and angels that were worshipped in the Middle East. The Book of Mormon tells of regular visits by angels and of their deep involvement in the affairs of ancient America. The angels encourage their human servants to practice important virtues, the foremost being, of course, obedience. The Book of Mormon tells us that many other remarkable events took place in ancient America as time went by. In the 1st century AD, Jesus Christ reportedly made an appearance in the Americas immediately following his crucifixion in the other side of the world. The Christ vision described in Mormon is complete with glorious rays of light in the sky from which Jesus emerged. Although many scholars like the Old Testament take the Old Testament seriously as a historical record, little such deference is given the Book of Mormon. Mormon stories seem so outrageous, and the manner in which Joseph Smith repeatedly obtained and translated the plates appears so suspect that scant academic heed is paid to them at all. The question is, should the Book of Mormon be dismissed out of hand? In truth, the Book of Mormon may well be one of the most significant historical records to come out of the custodial religions. Aha, this is why they don't like people talking about it. Based upon all that we have already studied in this book, the history of ancient America as told in Mormon is precisely the type of history that we would expect. Earth is small. We would anticipate that an ancient astronaut, i.e. the custodial race, would rule human society in the same fashion everywhere on every continent. We would expect them to exhibit the same brutality and to promote identical religious fictions. The dates extrapolated from the Book of Mormon for the arrival of the Palestinians to America are especially interesting because they coincide with the dates that historians have assigned to the emergence of the ancient civilizations of Mexico and Central America. The Book of Mormon might therefore explain why those civilizations abruptly rose in North and Central America so long after similar civilizations had already come and gone on the opposite side of the world. This still leaves a puzzle unsolved. If Mormon is at least partially true, where are the ruins of the cities it names? Many magnificent American ruins have been found, of course, but not all of the key cities identified in the Book of Mormon. Mormon offers a chilling answer. Some were utterly destroyed by God in a frightening cataclysm. Maybe that's what the rock wall is. Maybe it's one of these ancient cities that Mormonism described. Maybe that's why they want to bury it so bad. As elsewhere, it was very difficult for humans in ancient America to please their custodial masters. The Book of Mormon tells us that some ancient Americans did an especially poor job of it. As a result, a massive punishment was inflicted upon a large American region, reportedly around the year 34 AD, coinciding with the crucifixion of Jesus on the other side of the world. The Mormon account of this American cataclysm is extraordinary. It accurately describes a nuclear holocaust. In the 34th year, in the first month, on the 4th day of the month, there arose a great storm. Such a one has never been known in all the land. There was also a great and terrible tempest, a violent wind, and there was terrible thunder, insomuch that it did shake the whole earth as if it was about to divide asunder. And there were exceedingly sharp lightning, such as never had been known in all the land. And the city of Zarahemla did take fire. Zarahemla. Let me type, give me just a second here. Zarahemla. Let's see what that is. Zarahemla is the name of a prominent land, a capital city, and a leader in the Book of Mormon. The Book of Mormon is revered by members of the Latter-day Saints Some LDS speculate the name Zarahemla is a compound biblical Hebrew name, meaning seed of compassion. That's a very interesting idea here of that. Some Mormon writers identify the Lamanites as the Mayans. So this had something to do with the Lamanites. Trying to see where it says where they. It's just fascinating stuff. Let's continue on here with the reading. I was just trying to get a context for maybe what that word means, but I'll do some research on it later. And the city of Moroni did sink into the depths of the sea, and inhabitants thereof were drowned. And the earth was carried up upon the city of Morana in the place in the city that became the great mountain, and there was a great and terrible distraction in the land southward. But the whole there was no more, great and terrible destruction in the land northward, for behold, the whole face of the land was changed, because of the tempest and the whirlwinds and the thunderings and the lightnings and the exceeding great quaking of the whole earth. As the highways were broken up and the level roads were spoiled, and many smooth places became rough. And many great and notable cities were sunk, and many burned, and many were shaken, till the buildings thereof had fallen into the earth, and the inhabitants therefore were slain, and the places were left desolate. And there was some cities which remained, but the damage thereof was exceedingly great, and there were many of them who were slain. And there were some who were carried away in the whirlwind, and where they went, no man knoweth, save they know that they were carried away. And thus the face of the whole earth became deformed, and because of the tempests and the thunderings and the lightnings and the quaking of the earth, and behold, the rocks were rent in twain, they were broken up upon the face of the whole earth, insomuch as they were found in broken fragments, and in seams and in cracks upon all the face of the land. And it came to pass that when the thunderings and the lightnings and the storm and the tempest and the quakings of the earth did cease, for behold, they did last for about the space of 3 hours. And it was said by some that the time was greater. Nevertheless, all these great and terrible things were done in about the space of 3 hours, and then behold, there was a darkness upon the face of the land. And it came to pass that there was a thick darkness upon all the face of the land, insomuch as the inhabitants thereof had not fallen. I can't read any more of this. This is just horrible. It's Nephi 8:5-23, Book of Mormon. It just such old, antiquated language just wears me out reading it. It's just not. It just says the same thing over and over again. Yeah, the earth was nuked, and the fucking custodians wiped everybody and killed everybody. They've done it throughout history. I mean, they could be doing this right now. This could be what all these things that we think the New World Order are doing could be them doing it all over again. I don't know. The rumblings, flashes of lightning, rapid incineration of cities, all within 3 hours, followed by 3 days of thick, heavy darkness, combined to accurately depict a nuclear strike, followed by the inevitable thick, lingering cloud of soot and debris. The above passage is especially remarkable when we remember that it was first published over a century ago, long before nuclear weapons were developed by man. It gives added credence to the Mormon Church's claim that Joseph Smith had not invented the Book of Mormon, as some critics have charged. It is highly unlikely that any person in Smith's day could have accidentally imagined an event so closely mirroring a nuclear holocaust. Some Mormons stress that the spiritual teachings found in Mormon text are more important than the historical information. Mormon spiritual beliefs are indeed significant because they are quite forthright about custodial intentions. The basic spiritual beliefs of the Mormon Church can be summarized as follows. Humans are immortal spiritual beings occupying human bodies. The spirit is the true source of the intelligence and personality, not the body. As spiritual beings, we existed before birth and will continue to exist after death. The true goal of life is to improve spiritually, and everyone can eventually achieve a rehabilitated spiritual state that mirrors the state of a supreme being. Ethics are an important step to achieving such a state. Everyone is endowed with free will. These beliefs sound like the teachings of a maverick religion. We can at once understand why so many people are drawn to Mormonism and remain devoted adherents. Members are told important truths. When we further read into Mormon works, however, we find that the above truths are given many fatal twists, which actually prevent people from ever attaining their spiritual salvation. Mormon texts state that people are actually immortal spiritual spirit bodies which inhabit human bodies. Spirit bodies are made of matter and look just like human bodies. Joseph Smith said that spirit is a substance, that it is material, but that it is more pure, elastic, and refined matter than the body. A supreme being or God is said to be a similar material, being who inhabits a perfect and immortal flesh and bones body. The ultimate goal of Mormonism is to achieve the same state as God and dwell in a perfect, immortal human body for the rest of eternity. Right. Yeah, you just need to progress your soul so that eventually you'll inhabit in a perfect human body and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, right. See, that's totally priest-class stuff. Yeah, just keep coming back and reincarnating and just keep having better morals each time you come back and reincarnate. Eventually, you'll be in a godlike body and you'll be immortal. Yeah, eventually, once we get the transhumanist stuff going. I mean, that's totally set up by the people who are trying to keep our souls enslaved in these material bodies, folks. The ultimate goal of Mormonism is to achieve the same state as God and dwell in a perfect immortal human body for the rest of eternity. Mormon teachings, which are alleged to have come from ancient plates and the custodial angels, therefore encourage humans to welcome the grim fate of endless entrapment in human bodies. The Book of Mormon expresses that objective in this way, exactly what I just said. It encourages humans to welcome the grim fate of endless entrapment in human bodies. The spirit and the body shall be reunited again in its perfect form. Their spirits united with their bodies, never to be divided. Ancient Mesopotamian texts told us that mankind's custodial gods wanted to permanently join spiritual beings to human bodies so that the custodians would have a slave race. Maverick religions have argued that a spirit's enmeshment in a human body is the primary cause of suffering. To counteract this maverick teaching and to promote custodial aims, Mormonism falsely declares that a spiritual being can only achieve ultimate happiness and godliness when it has been permanently joined to matter. For man is spirit, the elements are eternal, and spirit and element inseparably connected receive a fullness of joy, and when separated, man cannot cease and receive a fullness of joy. Only where true spiritual understanding has been lost can such a teaching take hold as it has on a widespread scale on earth. We're going to stop right there because there's a lot more to go, and that's all I can do tonight. There's a lot more pages to go. I don't know, there's three or four more pages to go, so that's all I got tonight, though, because my throat hurts. We're going to start right there where it says Doctrines and Covenants 93 through 34, so wow, yeah. I mean, just no question that I mean, I really think that this has given us this book, reading of this, has given us a lot more better understanding of the idea of where these religions come from, and also the people who, you know, like Alex Jones, I'm a Christian, yeah, you know, and all these connections, and then not talking about this stuff. You see, now we start to understand exactly who these guys are working for and who they're covering up for, and all the rest of this stuff. Amazing stuff. Well, that's it for the show tonight. I want to thank everybody for staying up late with us. We got Moonbatty as hell tonight. Please donate to our work if you can. Shipping banner's there. Donate button is there for larger amounts. We have the recurring subscription thing where you can become a member of the Global Reality, make a pledge to us every month. It'll come automatically out of your account. You won't have to come back every month to do that. You can do it that way, however you want to do it. Support our work. It keeps us pushing forward. And again, I think with everything coming out, I think that it's important we continue to be here. So please continue to support us. My name is Josh Reeves. I love each and every one of you, and we'll see you next time. You guys have a great night. Take care.